voice of growth, mastering the mind and market.
Especially because I've been so driven the last 5 years. I feel like as soon as I catch up, my workload doubles. Metal, period. Anything metal. Because I want to build things that last hundreds of years. I love every second of it. I just want to keep going at the pace I'm going, and I'll see where life takes me. Just do it. Take the jump.
So you just turned 20 years old. You've had your business for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You started it when you were 15. And the world wants to know why.
Honestly, I don't even know why. I mean, I just started one day in freshman year of high school. It's like, I was racing BMX at the time, and I was like, I'm kind of tired of this. Like, I do something productive with my life. And I mean, I built a couple gates here and there, and as what I was good at is really what I wanted to do. I eventually knew I wanted to do something with metal or something with like art or something. I wanted to do something with my life. So, I mean, what better time to start than freshman year of high school, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I say this to a lot of people, including my children, like when the world zigs, you zag.
Mm-hmm.
And the world of 15-year-olds are typically worried about social media madness or what's happening with sports all the time, or they're not even worried about starting a business. And
yeah,
you kicked it off. So who was your first customer?
my neighbors. I think so. Yeah, my neighbors across the street from me. Built a little gate for them, and then their neighbors. So I did a couple of my neighbors close to me, close to my house, and then started branching out from there. I started contacting some local landscape companies and just small home builders, stuff like that, just for like gates, trellises,
right?
Small like ornamental ironwork. And then eventually got to the point where I am now, where we're starting to branch off into structural steel buildings and stuff like that.
Well, I'm aware of the sort of level of revenues. I won't share them with the audience, but I'll say that you have more momentum and more capacity and more clout than many 35-year-olds that I know. And I think that your mindset really is one of a young man who's driven and has a plan, and you're not afraid to get your hands dirty, which is sometimes, again, one of these things that a lot of folks don't want to do that.
No, not a lot of people want to do that at all. Well, hard to find people that want to work just in general.
Yeah, what would you say is your biggest challenge to growing? I mean, I'm assuming it wasn't a straight line from 15 to 20. I'm sure that you've had ups and downs. What's been the biggest challenge?
Probably just managing my time, learning how to manage my time, you know, going from 15 years old to 20 years old, trying to balance a business, trying to balance my personal life, and trying to balance everything.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, that's probably...
Is balance easy?
Yeah, it is getting easier, but...
I worked for this CEO, I tell this story often, this really super driven guy, but he was also seemingly well-balanced. He had a good home life. He had hobbies even, and he was managing a pretty good sized business. And I asked him one time, I said, Mark, how do you balance it all? And he looked at me in the eye and he said, Manny, balance is bullshit. He said, it's all about harmony.
Yeah.
And once I started thinking about what that meant, it means that different aspects of your life are able to sort of coexist. And sometimes one's going to be heavier. Sometimes you may have more work and your family is going to be pushing back. And then sometimes you're going to be like, you know what? I'm just going to take today off, and you're going to lean into your family and your personal life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the harder things to do, especially because I've been so driven the last 5 years. And I've just been go nonstop pretty much. Finally, I mean, these last couple months are probably the busiest I've ever been in my life with jobs and projects and stuff like that. And it's coming to be pretty easier on balancing stuff.
Do you feel as though the scale of business is growing? You're getting bigger and bigger clients?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like as soon as I catch up, my workload doubles, and my scale, we just jump to the next level. I feel like.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
We've talked about areas where, so you do awnings and gates and fences. And so what's the core business that you do right now?
Metal. Period. Anything metal. It's what I've always told people. I mean, just what I've always done, not really what I've always told people. But yeah, anything metal. I mean, stainless, sanitary metals, aluminum, steel awnings, canopies, doors, gates, fencing. I mean, literally anything metal. That's my sweet spot right there.
Do you feel that your age has been a plus or a minus in trying to get new business?
I would say like 50-50. I've had some people definitely try to take advantage of me, just for my age, and it happens a lot, like a lot more than you'd probably think. But I would say probably 50-50. A lot of people look at it as like, oh my God, you're 19, 20 years old doing this. That's amazing. Like, let's keep the ball rolling and do some more work together. Or some people look like it as like, hey, you're 19, 20 years old. I'm going to not pay you on this or whatever. Yeah. So
they're not going to, they don't know the kind of work ethic you have.
Yeah, exactly.
Or how you try to, we've been working together for a while. You try to do the right thing. One of the mantras that we talked about is that you over-engineer, you overbuild things.
Yeah.
That may not be the best way of saying it, but you basically make things bulletproof.
Exactly.
What was the idea for that? Why not just do what's necessary, like at that point, and then just stop?
Because I want to build things that last hundreds of years. I don't want it to ever. I hate having to go back to projects and fix things, so might as well over-engineer it and overbuild it to where I don't ever have to go back.
Was that from the very beginning, or did you sort of build that into as you were growing the business?
No, that's since the very beginning. I've always tried to build things obviously over-engineered, overbuild, bulletproof, as you said. And just so they last. Want things to last longer than me for hundreds of years by the time I'm gone.
That's really good.
Yeah.
My stepfather was a Boilermaker for the mines back in the day. And every time I talk with him, he is referencing some job that he did. And I had the pleasure a few years ago to go driving around with some work he'd done, some metal work.
Yeah.
And it was still standing. It was there. The wells were beautiful.
Yeah.
And there's a pride of ownership that comes with doing that kind of work.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Is there one project that you're highly proud of? I wouldn't say the most proud of, because I know you do a lot of things. Is there one that really stands out as like, man, I'm really proud of this particular job?
I would say yeah, but it's not done yet, so not done fully.
Okay.
It's that big one that we've been working on right now. So I would say that's probably my proudest project, just because the sheer size of it and the amount of hours that we have into it and just the time and detail in it.
Give us an idea of what the size is and the detail. Just, you don't have to name names necessarily, but what's the flavor of the kind of job that this is?
We were there for about 6 months, doing everything from an awning, like a 2,100 square foot awning, to some custom loft in this dude's garage. I mean, multi-millionaire. He's got the pockets to spend, and we build him whatever he wants. And we build him custom cantilever pergola that overhangs his pool 23 feet. We had to put 13,000 pounds of concrete under it just for it to be able to stand there, and some big uprights on that thing, and a lot of cool custom stuff in his house, outside of his house. He's got a cool koi pond. It's a cool property. And probably reveal it here coming soon. The whole property.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a mechanical engineer by education. I didn't really do much. I did about a year and a half worth of true engineering.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went into the business domain and realized that I like that better.
Yeah.
Way better. But, one thing I really appreciate about what you've been doing is that you are not a Mickey Mouse outfit. You are legit. You have all your plans engineered, stamped, and you just mentioned 13,000 pounds of concrete. I mean, you came up with that number working with your engineering staff. Like, that is not anything that should be scoffed at. I mean, that's legit process.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we have to have, everything's legit that we do. Every time we pour concrete, we have to pull core samples and make sure it's right. We pull torque specs on all of our bolts and just make sure everything's correct and to the point.
Nice. Have you ever done a job and either realized because you thought about it or the customer told you something isn't right and you had to go back and fix it?
Yeah, a couple times. But it's been, I don't think it's been anything major to where like it shifted the whole project, but small things here and there, I get busy, and as everyone gets busy, and some things skip past us, but we make it right for the customer and do what needs to be done.
That's really good.
Yeah.
In the 5 years you've been doing business, give or take, has there been any point in that time when you've wanted to quit?
No. There's been some hard spots where, I haven't had any work, or, it's been too busy to where I'm just like, I don't know how I'm going to handle this. I just want to be done with it all. But no, not really. I love it. I love every second of it. I love the busy. I love the slow. I've learned to love every aspect of it.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to mindset. You can look at a big challenge as a challenge where it's going to hold you back or push you down. Or you can look at that same challenge and see it as an opportunity to rise you up, to push you forward.
Yeah.
And from what I know from you and speaking with you and working with you for a number of months here is that you've really taken that mindset to the extreme, and you've brought resources to the table to help you to get to that next level. What are the next steps for the company?
Structural. We want to be doing buildings and just custom stuff. I like custom steel. Eventually I want to work my way to build custom spec homes out of steel, fully out of steel from the ground up. Obviously besides concrete and finishing touches and stuff like that. But yeah, that's the main goal, is I want to be able to do steel spec homes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Have you seen those shipping container houses?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about those?
I think those are cool. Yeah, I think a lot of they're, pretty much modular. You can do whatever you want with them. So obviously shipping containers aren't the best for a home structurally, but you can make them work as you need to.
Yeah. When it comes to customer engagement, are you mainly relying on word of mouth, or is there other ways you could reach your customers?
Past 5 years, it's all been word of mouth and Instagram, and maybe Facebook. That's how we've gained all of our clientele.
Really?
Yeah. I've maybe posted a couple videos here and there, boosted it on Instagram a couple times, but that's about it. I've never really paid for marketing or advertisement or a commercial, or the most I do is yard signs and Instagram.
And where did you get this business knowledge and acumen?
Trial and error. I never went to school for welding. I didn't go to school for engineering, but I work with engineers. I work with welders, and I am a welder, obviously. And been welding for probably 10 years now, and just trial and error pretty much.
And what about, I guess, as you were building your business and are building your business, who do you rely on, or who do you look to for business advice, business mentorship?
My parents and you.
Yeah, I think your parents are really good trailblazers, and I've never met them personally.
Yeah.
But from what I understand, your dad has a
Commercial tire business.
So he's supplying tires for like what, semis, big trucks?
Semis, big trucks, anything from a wheelbarrow to a big truck out in the mines or something like that.
Okay.
I never really wanted to get into that business myself, but he loves it. So
Yeah, you can appreciate it though.
yeah, for sure.
And your mom?
Cosmetics. She's always done nails, eyelashes, body contouring, stuff like that.
Yeah, so very similar story to me. I mean, my parents didn't have necessarily those similar things, but my mom ran a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
She ran a clothing store. She was in real estate. My grandmother, who's still alive, ran many restaurants.
Yeah.
And we draw inspiration. We were just talking about in the pre-meeting that, there's not always a singular mentor you can go to for advice, but you sort of piece together ideas here, ideas there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the beauty of this podcast is we're providing a lot of great content. The whole idea of, well, I'm too old, I'm too young, it's BS.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
clearly you're here celebrating your recent 20-year of life,
Mm-hmm.
and you've had a business for a quarter of your life.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that, but yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And just think about by the time you're my age, so I'm 52, we'll just make the numbers easy, may say 50. The next 30 years, you're going to have been in business way more than half your life, right?
That's why I started it so early. And get a little head start on everybody else.
Yeah. So with that, where do you see yourself at 30 years old? 10 years from now?
10 years from now, I want to travel. I want to be out of state doing some projects, multiple states wide, doing some big buildings or some big custom homes, or honestly, I don't really know. I just want to keep going at the pace I'm going, and I'll see where life takes me.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a good attitude. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean,
I have a vision of where I want to be, but it's not like set in stone. I just want to. I
get it.
I don't know how to explain it, but
no, I get it 100%. When I was in junior high, I had this vision of I wanted to have a company. We called it The Firm, me and my buddies. And The Firm was a company that we would build machines to build machines, to build things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that was in my mind, whatever. And as time passed, we sort of forgot about it. I forgot about it. Then I got my engineering degree and I worked for industry for a year and a half, and I worked in sales and marketing and for other companies. And eventually in 2010, I came to start a company, and it was an engineering company. We had mechanical, electrical, software engineers. And about 2-3 years into it, we were sitting there and my guys were working on this project, and it was an automation project. We were making a machine and make machines. And it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was like, oh my God, that was the vision. I didn't know it was there. And even this podcast. So when I was 15, your age when you started this, I was into like ham radio. I was into like building antennas, and I was very much into talking on a microphone.
Yeah.
I was talking to strangers across the world. And here I am, 40 years later or 35 years later, maybe not a stranger, but I'm talking to people that
doing a podcast.
And I've got to, I think on the fly. I don't think of these questions necessarily. Sometimes I have a few.
Yeah,
But like I mentioned, it's a conversation, and I think it's the most natural way that way. Rather than sit here and read you a series of questions, I just want to understand, and I want our audience to understand, like, what are those inner workings that drive you?
Yeah.
So they can get an inspiration from that.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a position in your 5 years in business and just in general where somebody has asked you for business advice?
Yeah.
Were they older than you?
Roughly, like around the same age. I got a couple buddies, like out of state, and even here in state. A couple buddies that started businesses that asked me for just little things here and there, but nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's probably like 2 to 3 people within the
Yeah.
whole 5 years. So, like I said, there's ups and downs to being young. I mean, some people look at it as, I'm not going to take advice from this 19-year-old. What does he have? Or, some people look at it as, hey, he sees a different perspective on things.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one of the big things I really tout, and I try to spread the news as much as possible, is getting rid of your own bias. And we tend to hang out with people that are very similar to us. They think like us. They look like us. They're in our same age range, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And again, back to that, when I was 15, some of my friends were in their 60s. Friends, straight up friends, because these were old guys in my hometown. They were ham radio operators. They had antennas. They had, I just would go to their house because I saw a big old antenna. I'm like, hey, are you a ham radio operator? And they'd come in and they'd show me all their equipment, and I became friends with them.
Oh, yeah.
And now, I would consider you a friend. And so it's like, age is not a barrier when it comes to getting perspective and knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
Same thing with different. I mean, I tend to be a little more libertarian and more conservative in my thinking. And I've got friends on all sides of the aisle.
Yep.
And this Charlie Kirk thing is exposing a lot of, of the bone with respect to values.
Yep.
And you're seeing people unfriend people for saying this, for saying that. And you know what? I think that there's just a lot of pain and confusion surrounding that and everything else going on in the world.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I got friends that, they let stuff like that ruin friendships. I have a buddy who lost, he posted one thing about just supporting Charlie Kirk. He lost 3 million followers in a day. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Just this world is crazy.
Yeah. The thing is, it's not getting any easier. It's not getting any uncrazier.
Yep.
I mean, it's just getting more crazy.
Yeah.
The topic of AI has been central to everybody. I just had a podcast earlier with a deep expert in AI security.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he comes in and he looks at vulnerability for a company, typically larger companies. Where if something goes wrong, how will it go wrong? Will AI open the door for bad actors to come in and mess with your data? He mentioned the idea of this shadow AI and these other things where you're talking with a company and you don't know, but behind their curtain is bad actor AI people, whatever. Do you use AI very much at all in your business?
Yeah, I do. I use it for just some small brief renderings. I'll snap a picture of something real quick. I use it to draft up some proposals. Use it to draft up RFQs. Anything. It's quick. It's easy. And you just tell ChatGPT, "Hey, do this, this, and this," and it does it instantly. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it came out when I was in sophomore in high school. So I used that in high school for some essays and stuff like that. And that was right before they started catching on to it. And my history teacher was probably wondering why I wrote a perfect 5-star essay on whatever topic. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I use it quite a bit.
Yeah, I think it's a tool. If you use it correctly, it can be a tool that will augment what you're doing. I did another podcast. It was more of a monologue about thriving through AI hell. And there are two big voices that are in the industry. One guy, Mo Gadot, ran Google X. Google X is their think tank where they do special projects to solve big issues in the world.
Right.
The other guy is Jeffrey Hinton. Dr. Hinton wrote the code that enables ChatGPT and others to do what they do.
That's great.
His deep neural networks provides that thinking mechanism. And there's a bunch of others we spoke to or we referenced, and we spoke to some as well, some experts. And they agreed that there's a very large chance that the next 12 to 15 years will be AI hell.
Oh,
Meaning ridiculous amounts of unemployment. Right now, we freak out if there's 10% unemployment. They're thinking 90% unemployment.
oh, I don't doubt it.
So all knowledge workers, graphic artists. I mean, I don't think your business necessarily would be super hit, but it's probably going to help you grow faster, right? You can get this agent, this AI agent, to do all your renderings, to do all the, whatever. You just tell this agent to do that, and then you can bring your crew in to actually do the metal.
Yeah, I think pretty much any office job or anything you do on a computer is going to be obsolete in the next 12 years. Just because of AI. Even like engineering or like architecture. I don't know, drafting, rendering, whatever it is on the computer. It's all going to be obsolete. I mean, the only thing that's not going to be obsolete is just working with your hands and actually building stuff.
Yeah. So you've in essence future-proofed your livelihood.
Yeah.
By having bloody knuckles and doing the work you do.
Yep.
Are you still getting up on scaffolds and welding and all that? Or are you basically more just directing the flow?
No, I am. I'm still welding, still doing when I can, when my phone's not ringing. Feel like my phone rings probably once every 5 minutes, but yeah, when I can, I try to weld as much as possible, and I try to help my guys out as much as possible. Lately, I've been a delivery driver.
Yeah.
Delivery, pick up materials. But yeah, no, I try to weld and actually get up there on the lifts or whatever.
Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, oh yeah. I enjoy that more than sitting at my desk doing some renderings or some calculations or something like that.
Has this been your only job, or have you had other jobs too?
No, this has been my only job since the beginning. So I never even worked I mean, I worked with my dad. I've gone on calls with him and stuff like that, but this has been my only job.
Right.
Never worked for someone else in my life.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my first job, I was 11 years old, and I was working for my mother and grandmother at a restaurant. I was a busboy. And then at 14, I worked at Safeway as a courtesy clerk, basically sweeping and doing really terrible things in the like cleaning up the bathrooms, which were terrible. And so I've worked with so many people. I became my own boss, so to speak, back in 2010. So it took me basically 25 years to become my own boss.
Yeah.
And you did it on day one. That's crazy.
Day one.
Yeah. What advice would you have? So now, assuming that really nobody knows your age necessarily, what advice do you have for somebody who's looking to start a business?
Just do it. Take the jump. It's the only thing you don't do it, you're just prolonging it. Just do it. Send it. What's going to go wrong? I mean, a lot of things can go wrong, but I mean, you won't know if you don't try, you know?
There's a question I ask all my guests. Asking you is going to be a little bit difficult, but I'm still going to do it in a different way. So I usually ask folks, the folks on the other side of the table are usually in their mid-30s to early 50s.
Yeah.
And I ask all of those folks, if you could have a magic phone, you could tell your 18-year-old self something, what would you say? You're a little bit different because you're 20 years old. You were 19 4 days ago.
Yeah, exactly.
So what would you tell your 10-year-old self?
Start now. Instead of start 5 years later.
You would have started at 10.
I would have started at 10, yeah. I would have started, something obviously on a small scale, something I could do at 10 years old. Or at least try to figure out something to do, in the lines of entrepreneurship. Try to go sell something. I don't know, even if it's like a lemonade stand or something. I did do that once. I sold some lemonade and some paper airplane stand when I was like 8 or 10 years old or somewhere around there. But yeah, probably start now.
Nice.
If I could.
The other question I ask is definitely going to be better suited, I think, or whatever. If you had that same magic phone and you could ask the question of a 50-year-old Aidan, what would you want to know?
Asking myself something if I was
Like you now,
Like me now,
calling on this phone, asking if 50-year-old Aidan, 30 years from now, something. What would you ask that, Aidan?
how'd I do? I mean, I don't really know what I would ask my future self. Did I make it? Did we achieve some of our goals? Where am I now? What kind of projects are we doing? Am I still in the steel game? Are we still, are you building stuff? Or are you just, hanging back on some beach in Mexico or something like that?
Yeah, that question, man, I ask that a lot, right, of my guests. But every time I ask it in myself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Every day we learn something new. Every experience we have builds to your personality, your identity, really. And it's crazy for me to think, I'm 52 now. Where will I be, or what questions will I ask when I'm 75? Like, what is that? And the crazy thing, the sort of mind explosion, is that we have the answer is already here. Like, we're working on the answer.
Yeah.
And it's in process.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll probably be in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about you want to be nationwide, and you want to be well known to be in that space. Building a brand is important. Building personnel, there's a lot of nuts and bolts, pun intended, involved with building a business of that scale. I think you should be really proud of yourself.
Yeah, I am. Especially for what I've built in 5 years and being able to do it and still graduate high school and still have a girlfriend and try to make time for everything. It's definitely hard, but I'm proud of it for sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time, Aidan. It's been a pleasure to get your thoughts on some things. And
yeah, thanks for having me.
looking forward to seeing what happens in the next 5 years.
Yeah, for sure.
Cheers.
Thank you.